Welcome to one of the first videos for my card blog hop. This one is from Texana Designs, and for this card what I did is I stamped a lot of the different designs, and I'm going to show you exactly how I created the card. This is the sketch that I chose. There's also a portrait style of the same sketch, and you can choose whichever one you want. This is the one I chose that best fit with my images. So what I did is I started out with my Texas stamp. I went ahead and stamped this, and what I'm going to do, I did use Memento ink pad with this, and I'm going to use Distress Stain. This one is Antique Linen, and I'm just going to kind of squeeze this and kind of just cover the image with this. This is just a quick, easy way to color it. Then next I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool to just quickly dry it. Then I'm going to use my brush corduroy ink pad and then one of my foam blender tool, and I'm going to just kind of coat that outside edge with just a little bit of that brown ink. And if I work in circular strokes, it's going to keep it from giving me any hard, harsh lines. So I just want to put a little bit of extra color on there. Next, I'm going to take just a water bottle, and I'm going to kind of spritz some in my hands and flick it on the paper. It's going to give me some really cool water droplet looks. Go ahead and use one of the distress markers. This one is Walnut Stain, and I'm going to take this and just color in that outlined image of the Texas shape. I didn't want to do this before I use the water because this is a distress marker and it will also react with water, and I want to keep this as sharp as possible. This is what it looks like when it is all colored, and I've gone ahead and cut this one out. One other thing that I did when I cut this was I did use an X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to trim along the edge of the inside part of that little tip. So this is what it looks like when it is all finished. I've kind of trimmed this little piece away just about right there so I can tuck those flowers underneath. I wanted to show you how I did my flowers, and I went ahead and stamped the bluebonnet framed image and then the daffodil, and these are both done in Memento ink pad with the tuxedo black. And then I've gone ahead and gotten my other stamp ready, and I'm going to use some more distress markers. This one is the barn door. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the brush tip of it and just color in the flower itself on the image. And then I'm going to come back in with my green marker. This one is peeled paint. And I'm going to come in and just color the rest of the images, the part of it that would be green, so the stems and the leaves. And then what you do is once you're done coloring, you kind of huff on it or blow on it, and then you stamp it down. For the other flowers, what I'm going to do is show you quickly how I colored these. For the blue bonnets, I'm using kind of a mix of blues and purples. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my darkest blue. These are the Pro markers, and these are alcohol ink base markers. This one is Midnight Blue. And what I'm going to do is I always start darkest to lightest with these Pro markers. I did use Copics for a long time, and I love Copics also. They just are a little pricey, so I went with these so I could just have a variety of colors to use on different projects. So I'm just going to kind of randomly come in and just add some dark areas to pretty much most of these little spaces. So I'm not going to color the whole thing right now. Coming back in with Twilight Sky. This is kind of a medium blue. Kind of reminds me of like a Williamsburg blue color, and I'm just going to kind of color around, give it some more kind of a warmer blue color. And then what I'm going to do to kind of blend all those colors together is I'm going to use a purple called Winterberry, and for this one I'm just going to color over the entire image. I am going to be cutting this out, so I really don't care if I stay in the lines too much, so I will just scribble it on and color it in. So for the daffodils, I'm going to be using gold and then eggnog, and then I'm also going to use my blender pen, and I'm going to start with my darkest yellow, and I'm going to color in just the highlights on the petals where the darkest color would be. I'm going to color the center of those tops of the flowers, so the part that would have the deepest color when you kind of look down in the daffodil. Next, I'm going to take that lighter color, the eggnog, and I'm going to go over that part I just colored and kind of go up to the tips. So I'm blending those two yellows together. And this is what I love about alcohol ink markers, is just you can have a hard yellow and a hard white, and you can blend them in so they completely blend together. On the ends, what I'm going to do is I want it to kind of fade out to almost no color, so I'm going to use just the blender pen right here on the outside. For the leaves, I'm using marsh green and pear green. So I'll start with the darker, and I'm just going to do those bases and kind of the accents on those leaves. I'm also do the stem. I'll come back in and blend all of that out. So like I said, I'm not too worried about these. I'm going to be cutting these out, so I can go outside the lines a little bit, not worried. It just does make for some pretty quick coloring when you know you're going to be cutting things out. I'm going to go over all of this with the Clear Wink of Stella. And this just gives just a real fine glitter. But I love about this Clear Wink of Stella is that you can use it with any color. Does not matter. And it does not change the color of those images. I think you can kind of see the little shimmer and glitter there. It's really, really pretty. So I'll do the same thing with these daffodils. What I've done is I went ahead and fussy cut around all of these with my scissors. For these inside parts, I did use my X-Acto knife. Here's one that I have not done on the blue bonnet. So what I do is just, usually I'll cut these first while the image is still on the background, so it's a little more steady cutting. And then what I'll do is just go in with my X-Acto knife and just trim those images out. And then once I'm done cutting it, I usually just stick my X-Acto knife down in there, pull out the little piece, and then I am done. To put this part of the card together, what I do, I did cut off one of the little stems of the blue bonnet right here on the leaf. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of dry fit these in, see where I think they would work the best. And then I'm going to come in and start gluing things down. I'm going to be using a liquid glue pen. This one is made by Martha Stewart. It's great for little fine images where you're coloring in little tiny areas that you want to glue. You can put it on with dots. You can do lots of different things, but I use this a lot with my silhouette, and it works great for hitting tiny, tiny little things together. So I'm just going to tuck these in just underneath that little section I cut out. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. And then it's going to tuck in. And then I'm going to come in and do the same thing. Just kind of dot some glue on here. So I'm just going to tuck it right under here. Figure out how much of that I want to show, and then glue it down. So I'm just putting some glue on the underside of this border strip that I cut so that it will glue to those. So I have everything glued together, so it's a good solid piece right there. I'm going to take my scissors and trim any excess little stems that are underneath. And then I've gone ahead and added some foam tape to here with my scissors. So I'm just going to cut that or peel these pieces off. Okay, so here's my card base. Now what I'm going to do with this is, following along with this sketch, there's a border along the bottom. So I'm going to do a border along the bottom. Now this oval shape will be my Texas shape on the card. And then for the little square or the rectangle will be where my sentiment is. So I'm going to use some washi tape. This is a red polka dot washi tape. And washi tape is great because it sticks really easily, but the one drawback to doing washi tape is sometimes when you tuck it around on the other side, it will come back up. And I'll put a little bit of adhesive right on the bottom. I think you can kind of see it right there, right where that washi tape will fold over. You would do that on both sides, and that would hold it down and hold it real secure so that washi tape does not peel back up. So I'm going to add one more strip of washi tape just for a little bit more color. So this is going to be a yellow that I'm going to put right along the bottom. Just line it up, tear it off. Normally I would add adhesive to it right here. Put it to the back side. I'm just going to flip the card over and trim that off. I'm going to distress this background just a little bit. I like to soften the edges just with a little bit of ink. It kind of helps everything tie together. So I'm again just using that brush corduroy and flicking on some color on those edges. I do like to put a little bit more in the corners where things would kind of catch a little bit more distressed area. And I will put a little bit right down here at the bottom. So then that prepares my background. I'm going to use my saying. This is the There's No Place Like Texas in the Springtime. And what I do is I lay my actual Texas shape kind of down where I think I'm going to put it. I'm not going to press it hard because I peeled that backing off, but I do kind of line up my saying in here. So if I look here, this word springtime is actually going to be over where I need it to be. So I'm going to rearrange these, and all my sayings I do cut apart so that I can put them exactly where I want them on my card. I'm going to kind of just move them around a little bit. Let's see, I might be able to put the end on the same line. Yes. So I'm just going to scoot these down a little bit. And I'm just using the grids on this block to help me line everything up really, really well. So I'm looking at that, and that is great. That will fit in my little space right here. So then what I'm going to do is take my same black Memento ink pad. I'm going to ink that up really well. And then I am going to flip this over and stamp this down in this area. And I love my Fiskars stamp press because I can put pressure right where I need it to stamp, and it'll stamp it down really, really well. So now I'm going to take my Texas shape and I'm going to place it on my card where it will be, and go ahead and stick it down. Now this little top flower does kind of hang off quite a bit, so what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of adhesive right on the back, and again I'm using the same liquid glue pen, and just kind of glue that down so it will stay on there and not get ripped off. I'm going to do the same thing with the blue bonnet, and just hold them down there for just a second till that glue sticks. And then that is my finished card. So you can see the shimmer on here, and what I want you guys to do is, if y'all leave a comment here on my blog, there will be a drawing for all the different comments that are left on all the blogs from the Facebook page from the blog hop. So you will be able to win this card and then all the other different cards that were made for our Texana Designs blog hop. So thanks for watching.